Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Larry Bodenheimer and today we're going to be taking a look at LokiBot. Now LokiBot is a 32-bit info stealer which affects modern Windows operating systems, everything from Windows 7 and up. Before we run the malware, we're going to take a look at it in the Threat Insights portal, today courtesy of Nike Analytics, which the malware was also uploaded by him. This is the malware name, meaning it was most likely imported from a malware forum. The last analysis was 52 days ago. The size is only 104 kilobytes. It was uploaded by Nike and has a reputation of 0, as nobody on the Threat Insights portal has voted on it yet. If we come down here to detections, we can see that almost everything does flag it as malicious, and this is actually an error. So just to show that it is detected on VirusTotal as well, we open the link and we can see that it has 53 out of 62 detections and was last analyzed 57 minutes ago. So we'll come back to this. We can see that Reversing Labs gives it a flag of malicious, Win32.Infostealer.LokiBot. VirusTotal does give it 52 detections. Hatching Triage gives it a 10 out of 10 with LokiBot, Collection, Discovery, and Spyware. AnyRun gives it a 100 out of 100 with a threat level of 2 and malicious activity. Threat Zone gives it a malicious score of 3. Kaspersky OpenTip does flag it as malicious, and UnpackMe also gives it AV detections of 1 family LokiBot, which is rare for UnpackMe to have a family label, but in this case it does. If we come over to details and file identifiers, your MD5, SHA-1, and SHA-256 for the video will be right here. If you want to follow along either during the video or after it is finished, you'll also be able to find these in the comment section down below. So now that we've taken a look at it in the browser, now we will go ahead and take a look at the tools that we'll be using to analyze the malware. So we have System Informer, Process Monitor, Wireshark, and Zooey. Last but not least, let's go ahead and take a look at the properties of the file. So if we come to details, we can see that there's nothing here. No file description, no product name, and no certificates have been assigned to it. So it doesn't really do a good job of, or I guess any job, of hiding what it really is. But now that we've taken a look at all of that, let's go ahead and get the process monitor ready. We will also get Wireshark started up with a new packet capture. And without any further ado, let's run some malware. Do you want to allow this app from an unknown publisher to make changes to your device? Sure I do. So we click yes, and it immediately opens down here, and it immediately also deletes its own item from the computer. So now it is running resident in memory. If we try to right click on it and open file location, we're not able to do so because it's actually no longer on the hard drive. It is running full-time in our RAM. So that is how it maintains its activity on the device. Now, if we come take a look at this over here, we are opening Process Monitor early, but that's because it doesn't actually do much graphically. We're not going to see much open on System Informer. At best, we may see a couple of new service host processes open, but other than that, there's really not much to take a look at in System Informer. So if we go to Filters, we're going to do 2 filters. The first one we're going to do is Operation. That's the wrong one. And we're going to do Create File. And the second filter will be Process Name is this random string.exe. So we click Apply, and we can see that we have 618 events, which is about as many as we had in testing. Now, this will actually pop up more later. As you can see, it now has 658, and I will explain why that is once we get towards the end. So once we start taking a look at it in Process Monitor, we can see we have a bunch of DLLs, sort default.nls, we've got some crypt-based stuff, bcrypt primitives, and then immediately we see something going on with Firefox. So we have NSS3.dll being called, and if we keep going, we do have mozglue.dll that was dropped on the desktop and immediately deleted, quick enough for us to not have even seen it. We also have wsock32.dll and vcruntime140.dll. It's also dropping most of the same things in the syswell64 directory. If we keep going, we should see, immediately we've got local programs fiddler, mozglue.dll. So I'm not entirely sure if it's detected that Fiddler is installed on the computer, but it is still running, as we can see. So maybe it's only looking to see if Fiddler is actually actively running in memory instead of whether it's just installed on the device. It's also opened the OpenSSH directory, which is bad. but it looks like the entire pathway has been deleted. So it dropped some open SSH files, and then whenever it did what it needed to do with SSH, it deleted it to cover its tracks. And we do also have this profiles.ini in Mozilla Firefox. So if we jump to that and open it, we can see some cool stuff here. So profile name default is relative yes, path profiles random string.default, default equals yes, and then you get out here. And then you got profile 0, and then general and install and background task profiles. So just wanted to show that off really quick. If we keep going, we got some new DLLs. Softonc3.dll that is custom for the malware. FreeBL3.dll as well. And then it's looking at our Firefox profiles. And it's doing some stuff with certificates and with keys. And we've also got sign-ons.sqlite, logins.json, and then sign-ons 1, 2, and 3.txt. If we come over here and take a look at these, it does actually look like these have been deleted. That's unfortunate. Not sure why it would have left some of these text files and deleted the rest. What about PKCS? So this one is still here. If we open it, we've got library name NSS internal, PKCS.11 module, and then we got some parameters. If you guys want to take a look at this, I'll scroll through relatively quickly. And of course, if you need to pause, you can do so. But here's what we've got in that text file. So now we keep going, and pretty soon we should see, yeah, so here's some things that it tries to do. Now, this looks like just a regular copy of Luma once you get to this point. However, it's not really, it's really hard to explain. How do I put this? I don't think this is actually doing anything. What I think it's doing is it's copying some processes from Luma Stealer, but as we move on, we can very easily tell that this isn't Luma. As a matter of fact, if you're also involved in malware analysis, you should have been able to tell by the beginning that this didn't have anything to do with Luma. For one, Luma has around 1,400 events on average, but even keeping that out of the way, just the beginning of the things, the way it was dropping text files in Firefox, Luma doesn't do that. So it looks like it's some kind of thing used to try to hide what it really is, but I'm not sure why this would throw anybody off, because anybody that has more than 5 brain cells isn't just going to stop here and then be like, oh darn, it's Luma again. Oh well, like there's not really any point to stop here. But if we keep going, we can see that it's only calling something just closed. Or I think something just closed. Maybe I'm being paranoid. Anyway, we can see that it's only calling browsers. We don't see anything to do with FTP. Now, we do have some FTP things down here. However, you can look at this and tell that this isn't actually the copy from Luma. So it is actually calling other FTP things. Now, some of the things that are part of Luma is NPP FTP. And then I think there was Easy FTP. But you automatically see a lot of things that aren't part of Luma. So you've got Ozone 3D. It's also calling Notepad for some reason. FTP Box, Charade Computers, FTP Now, Nexus File. I'm not going to go through all of these, but as you can see, these are custom. And then you've got SFTP Net Drive, Able FTP, JAS FTP, Automize. And once we go past that, we've got CyberDuck and Iterate GmbH. Now, we'll keep going past this, and it shouldn't be too much longer before we reach the end, even though they're halfway through. We've also got things for FileZilla. Now, this is probably copied from Luma, but, you know, the rest of this is custom. We've got in software Nova FTP, so we keep going. We've got a folder in documents called msecure. It may not be there anymore. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it does look like it's been removed. But we keep going. We've got Foxmail, and then Pocomail, Gmail Notifier Pro, and then 32-bit FTP, which I've never even heard of. Looks like it was an INI file, probably deleted. Unfortunately, it was. Software Nets Mailing Datin, okay. And then we got YMail2 for POP3 and SMTP. Stickies Images, Stickies RTF to do desk list. So in this case, it probably is looking for like, I don't know if these are really used anymore, but it looks like it's looking for those programs where you could put like sticky notes on the computer. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I should just be able to open the sticky notes for Windows. And then you just type like password. Password. Super cool password. Wow. It's probably looking for things like that. But we keep going. It's now looking for RoboForm, InPass, 1Password, MikroTik. Surprisingly, I don't see anything for Bitwarden, which is probably one of the most common ones. And now at this point, we've reached the end of the malware, because at this point, it's just going to keep repeating the exact same things. And what is the exact same things that it's doing? It's trying to export all RSA keys that it can find on a regular check outside of the computer. So as you can see, we've got Microsoft credentials, and then it's just the same thing over and over and over. Every RSA key that it can find has now been exported to a C2 server. And we only have a few, so it's just exporting the same 3 or 4 over and over again. But that's going to be all that we can find in Process Monitor. The reason that the events keep showing up and increasing is because it's doing this on a regular timer. So eventually it'll hit 978, but it'll just be the exact same thing. So now we can go ahead and minimize that, and we're going to take a look at Wireshark. So we have 733 events, so not a lot. However, we can see we do have an HTTP connection from this 2P, or 23. This may be Microsoft. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, it is. Okay, so that can be ignored. But we're going to stop, and we're going to save this as 1.pcap, and we're going to shove it through Zooey. So we'll go to Documents, 1.pcap, and we'll let it do its thing. And since there's so few packets, it should be relatively quick before we can take a look at it. Matter of fact, yeah, it shouldn't take any longer than a minute. But while it's doing that, I am going to pull this up in VirusTotal, and I want to take a look at relations. So if we come over here, we can see 3 contacted domains. 2 of them are Microsoft, but we've got this sabel.sbs, which I believe is also similar to the domain that's used with, I think it's either XenoRat or AsyncRat. It's one of the two. And if we go down, we've got 4 bundled files. We've got a .text, which has 4 detections. And then associations, if you just want to make sure, it is actually LokiBot. So we've got a post from Carlos Cabal, and then Jaffa Cakes 118. And now this is done processing through Zooey. We'll see if there's any alerts, and immediately we've got a bunch of alerts. And this is probably just saying that the stuff is being exported to .sbs. So if we go ahead and maximize this, we open alert 1. Actually, we've got ET malware LokiBot fake 404 response. Category of network Trojan was detected. So is that going to be the same for all of these? No, it's not. ET malware LokiBot request for C2 commands detected M2. Category malware command and control activity detected. And then this one will be ET malware LokiBot request for C2 demands detected M1. And if we keep going, ET malware LokiBot user agent Charon/Inferno. And this one is ET malware LokiBot check-in. So it's probably going to be the same 5 alerts. As you can see, they're kind of in the same order. So we'll look and see if we've seen these before. Yeah, the fake 404 response, the M2, this will be the M1. Yep. So a lot of alerts. If we take a look at this alert 3, that's Suricata. We can just ignore that. But, yeah, it's... Oh, this one might be new. Here we go. ET malware LokiBot application credential data exfiltration detected M1. Very, very interesting. So this is going to be for those RSA keys that we saw earlier. But that's going to be it that we can see in Zooey. Now, I didn't start another packet capture, but if I did, we most likely would have just been seeing the same chain of 5 as we were seeing here. But now all that's left to do is to restart the computer and see if the malware has persistence. Surprisingly enough, with as much attention as it's gotten on VirusTotal, it has no tags other than, portable executable, which is automatically assigned, because you could tell, by .exe. But now we will go ahead and restart the computer. Now, with it being resident in memory, and classified as an info stealer, but mostly that it's resident in memory. The most obvious conclusion is that it doesn't have persistence because it's deleted its own program from the computer. But I will also say, just to cover my own tracks, crazier stuff has happened. But we'll go ahead and restart the computer, and then we will immediately open System Informer, and we will take a gander and see if anything to do with LokiBot reopens. I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb and say, $15 on not seeing anything to do with it. But again, malware likes to call me a liar and prove it relatively quickly. But if we don't see it in like the next 15 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and say that the computer is now clean. And that's the thing with info stealers. So back in the day with malware, worms, viruses, and early Trojans, it wouldn't immediately execute its payload. So if you had antivirus running, and maybe it didn't even have a detection at first, but then it has a detection later, you can just remove the malware from your computer, and you're probably good to go. But with info stealers, even if you've got Bitdefender or Kaspersky and it's like newer malware, all it does is take 10 to 15 seconds to do whatever it needs to do. And that's really what makes info stealers and also remote access Trojans very dangerous in today's world. But as we can see, nothing is running on the system. As I said, LokiBot was only running in memory, so now it is completely gone from the computer. So that's going to be it for LokiBot. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and leave a comment letting me know what you thought was interesting about this malware. Also leave a comment letting me know if there's anything I did not do in this video that you want to see in future ones. Again, MD5, SHA-1, and SHA-256 will be in the comments. Subscribe if you're new. My name is Larry Bodenheimer. You guys have been amazing, and I will see you in the next one.